All righty. Welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I'm Chris Sweet.
And how are you, Chris?
I'm good. When is this podcast going live? Next week?
Next Wednesday,
Okay,
the 23rd.
so I can say it. I'm not in the comfort of my home because my best friend had her baby. So
Yay.
we're doing good. It's a nice joy in my life amidst the chaos that is my life at the same time. So I really can't complain because her and baby are healthy, and I'm hanging out with my nephew, Bentley, who has 4 legs and lots of fur, and we're just chilling. How are you?
Doing good. Hanging in there.
Would you like to update the pod real quick on your marathon?
Yeah, I've been doing I was supposed to run a half marathon on June 1st. And I was doing a fun series, like a weekly update. I was feeling so good running. And then I ended up like partially tearing my meniscus, is at least what we think it is. I'm not really going to get it checked out because I can still do my day-to-days. And I want to just like put that off as long as I can. Also, my last ACL surgery, I waited a whole year. So I'm like not really in a rush to fix anything. I feel pretty confident that I can like rehab stuff. But I ended up, because I partially tore my meniscus, pulling out of the half marathon. I made that decision like that's probably like a couple days ago as I'm talking right now. But it was more so my husband's going to run it with me, and then we both just decided to. He's like, if you don't do it, I won't do it. So I'm just on to new goals. But the cool part is now I'm going to just share kind of how I'm like what I'm still doing in the gym, and what I'm able to still do, which is also like a cool journey as well, because I think a lot of people, and like one of my passions isn't just helping like athletes perform better, but it's also helping people realize like just because you're injured does not mean that you have to completely shut down your life and like everything has to change. The one thing I was sad about this week is I dropped my food a little bit. I was like, damn it.
Come hang out with the rest of us. The rest of us peasants over here, okay?
Like I was like still getting kind of full at night. I'm like, wow, I'm actually really full. I'm like totally not like exerting as much energy as I was. I'm still doing like incline walking and like rowing and trying to do like more so like Metcon stuff just to still work myself cardiovascularly, but I was almost at 2,500 calories. So I pulled back a little bit I came back down to earth. Realizing I was actually just like kind of full at the end of that. I'm like more hungry in the beginning of the day. So that was kind of sad, but it also was like I probably needed to do that.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I'm below 300 grams of carbs again, but it's okay.
You'll get back up there one day.
Yeah. So hopefully 2026. That's what I told Kalani that was running it with me as well, that I did High Rocks with in February. We were gonna do the half marathon together, and I was like, 2026, I got it in like probably in like the fall. So we'll see. Maybe 2028. Excuse me, 2027, not 20. I'm like just 3 years in advance. Maybe 2028.
Are we really setting some 3-year goal? I mean, I'm all for some long-term goal setting, but like respectfully, I can't even think past the next like 6 months.
I know, seriously.
Like it's so crazy.
I was definitely like a sigh of relief for sure, though. I like don't have any FOMO, which is telling me like I wasn't doing it just because like I love running. It was for like specifically the challenge. But I definitely do miss out running. It makes me feel like it's the incline walking just it doesn't do it for me, but I'm slowly getting there. Like it's good to have zone 2 training again.
Speaking to someone who has not ran since I don't know when, I don't know what I'm missing right now because, there's only so many things we can do. And we're going to focus on what we can do and not focus on what we can't do. And that is one of the best pieces of advice for injured athletes right now.
Yep. It's not fun. I know this isn't about injury, but I think it's just such an important thing to just be patient. Like, Kalani is my unofficial physical therapist right now, and she was like, hey, we just need to like control knee flexion, like stop doing lunges and split squats temporarily. And I know that can be so hard for someone who's, well, for me, like I understand the importance of unilateral variations and especially like lunges, side lunges, all the things. she's like, you just need to control that right now. So it's tough, but we're getting through it, making it work, doing some like really low key step downs and hip thrusts and things like that that are still getting me working. But yeah, maybe I'll just like really work on my delts now.
Absolutely. Why not? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I had PT this morning and, we worked on that dorsiflexion. So that's where we're at with my recovery journey is let's just get my ankle to be able to do something,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Something is better than nothing. I think that's
Hmm.
important to know.
Absolutely.
But today we're going to chat about Apex and basically like everything we offer. I know this is kind of more of like a different podcast because we've been doing a lot of like tips, tricks, helping coaches coach more effectively and more confidently. But today we wanted to talk about Apex because our business is a little bit different than most online coaching companies because we essentially have two sides. We have the lifestyle coaching side where we help coach athletes and we like to focus on athletes, but also just the lifestyle side of coaching where we're not helping you with like your coaching specifically. It's just like helping you get leaner, feel more confident, feel more athletic, improve performance, get stronger, all of those fun things. But we also have the coaches side where we're specifically coaching coaches and mentoring coaches because what we found was coaches sometimes have coaches, but those coaches aren't necessarily helping those coaches coach better. And so that's why we have both sides tied in. So, Chris, if you want to start us off just talking about like how Apex came to fruition, like what Apex is all about, and we can go from there.
Yeah. So Kelsey and I spent way too long trying to come up with the name Apex. I think that's the first thing we need to address is if you're ever trying to come up with a company name, it is quite a journey. And there's a lot of Googling and a lot of looking for synonyms and antonyms of every single rendition of a word possible that you're looking up. And we landed on Apex, and Apex pretty much translates to peak because we really like the idea of like peak performance, peak physique, peak coaching standards. Like everything that was coming to us was how do we just be the peak standard for anybody, whether that is on the lifestyle side or on the coaching side as well. So Apex represents peak, which represents mountain. So even in our like unique mechanisms within our business and our client journey, everything represents a part of the mountain. And I think what's really cool is we've encompassed that both into lifestyle, but then also the coaching side too. And it's amazing because they're both similar but different, and we get to really get creative with what that is and what we're delivering to people. And the whole idea from Kelsey and I's background too of just serving higher level individuals who are ex-athletes or just love that athletic edge to them a little bit more, really tied in so well to the idea of like being in a peak season of something because we're all chasing that. And then the same goes for the coaching side. Like the thing that I see not being filled enough or not being almost like poured into enough from a coaching standard is like the actual standard the coach is setting for their own health and fitness and for their own coaching protocols, their own education. That is not being taken into consideration. And I have been a business coach now, gosh, since 2023. That's crazy. February 2023, I think was when I started. So it's been 2 years of me business coaching, and I coach fitness coaches in their business, specifically with like marketing and sales and lead generation. Through that process, I saw such a gap in the industry. And what was really amazing was that Kelsey was starting to fill that gap with her prior company, and I had these like itches to want to fill it. So when we went into the merge, it was kind of a no-brainer for us of how we're going to serve these people and what our ideas were. And the strengths that Kelsey and I have together is that we have both been in business coaching mentorships for years. I haven't gone, I think, longer than 6 months without a mentor, and like since 2020, like 2021 maybe. So we have a lot of experience from that side and get to see the exposure of like coaches, and we're both ex-athletes. We both have that competitive edge. We've both been injured. We have so many similarities that when we created Apex, I feel like it really just organically kind of came together. We didn't really have to have a lot of discussions of who we're serving and how we're serving them. And if there is one thing that I can say, if anybody ever considers a business partner, is you need to have such a similar ideal client. If you don't, if you have variances in that, I think it would be very difficult to be in Emerge and to be in a company long term, ideally for life at this point, like for how we want to have business evolve. And that really helps with creating Apex. So think about Apex when we talk about the word Apex. Think of a peak, think of a mountain, think of being a higher standard for yourself. And then that division that we have is, think of it as everyone's an athlete coming in. Like entrepreneurs are an athlete, coaches are athletes, ex-athletes are athletes. And heck, even if you're just a mom that wants to learn how to train and learn how to be strong for her kids, like when you hear the word athlete, I think people think of ex-athletes, they think of that edge. And I don't think you have to necessarily be an ex-athlete to consider yourself an athlete later in life. You can be 35 years old, starting your fitness journey, and fully embrace the athletic edge, because there's ex-athletes who don't embrace that later in life and then will still call themselves that ex-athlete. So I don't think that there needs to be a difference in it. I think it's in your intention of what you're wanting to work on for yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the big theme for us is we don't focus on weight loss, but that doesn't mean that can't be a byproduct. But the whole point of being in your peak is recognizing that your peak doesn't have to be a number on the scale. It doesn't have to be a certain weight, or like focusing solely on that. Like we want to pull other goals out of you, because I think we've both been in the place where maybe weight loss was the main focus, or we've had clients where weight loss is the main focus and it's not as fulfilling as having a specific performance goal, being able to work towards a goal. And I think that's something we've seen really cool pop up in the industry as of the past couple of years, is people chasing things outside of weight loss and recognizing how much better they feel when they're working towards a goal to run a 5K or a Spartan race, or now High Rocks is really popular as well. And it's really cool to work towards that. And something I really hold myself to is like, you're an athlete no matter what, whether you're competing in something or not. Like you can feel like an athlete, and I can guarantee you when you're 70, 80 years old, you're going to thank your past self. I think a lot of people are nervous to lift weights, jump, run, stay up with our cardiovascular health in some way, shape, or form, whether that be cycling, again, like I said, running, really anything that's getting your heart rate up and training it that way. Like when you're doing all of those things, you're actually like improving your joint integrity and you're strengthening your connective tissue. You're obviously building muscle, which is something so important as you age. And so I think that's something so important with Apex, is it's bigger than just like lose weight. It's like, no, we want to help you recognize like there's so much more to life than just holding yourself to that. And so more so on the lifestyle side of things, and this really goes with both sides, but there's a few things specifically at Apex that we do that are much different from other companies, and I think some people are probably thrown off a little bit when they start. We actually do a 2-week base phase. So in our base phase, you actually don't have anything that's custom to you really, which seems crazy because we promise custom coaching, but the reason being is it's an info gathering stage. So with a lot of coaching companies, it's like you answer a questionnaire and then they give you a custom plan, but they don't have any idea how your body moves, where nutrition is at on average, and actually collecting data for that, where your time is at. So we do 3 things in our base phase. The first is that we do a strength testing. So it's more so like seeing where your strength is at, but also seeing where your form is at, seeing where we maybe see weaknesses and maybe need to refer you out to our physical therapist to get some more assistance there, or our pelvic floor therapist that's also on our team. And then after that, you just go into like a maintenance phase of training for a week while we create your custom programming. You also do a 2-week nutrition assessment, basically. So you're just tracking what you're naturally eating for 2 weeks, for us to get an idea of where to start your nutrition off at. Because the thing is, you could tell us you're doing one thing, not that we don't trust you, but what we've noticed a lot in the industry is like estimation is not always the greatest thing. So we want to get that real raw data, because we're not going to start you at 2,200 calories when you've been consuming 14 on average, and vice versa.
I think too, to add to that, there's a lot of visibility, like for the coaches listening and even for lifestyle, it's if you're only getting a 3 to 5 day baseline, are you getting that on the weekend? Are you getting that on
Yep.
Monday? Are you getting that when they're working from home, when they're in the office? Like your client intake is going to change day to day. So I think a 2-week baseline, what I love about it is you just get visibility over the weekends, especially, and challenging someone to track on the weekends and to see even a client's willingness in that. You learn a lot about the person, to obviously all the points that you've made too.
Yeah, because the weekends really do be, like they say, like the weekend. Like, don't let
Literally.
the weekend be your weekend. Um, but also I always say like something I love saying about the 2 week baseline is like I literally don't care if you have Chick-fil-A every day for lunch and have Papa John's 3 times a week. I don't care. It's just data for me. Like the reason you hired me is to improve. And if you're not being honest, like I can't help you to the best of my ability. So like it's just being really honest in
Absolutely.
that 2 week baseline. Um, and then the third thing, which I don't know if any company who's done this, is a time audit. So we actually want to know your 7 days of like the first 7 days of the program, you're taking a time audit so we can see how you're spending your time. And I know for a lot of people that's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to come to terms with what your routine is. I'm like, hey, if you're on Instagram, I want you to put how many times you are on Instagram, because how many times is your phone next to you? You pick it up and you're like, oh, I'm gonna scroll for just like 5 minutes, and then it ends up being 25, and the next thing you know, you're in a deep hole of mukbang on TikTok.
So
So
fair.
um, that's the big piece is the base phase, because that helps us with the following phases and where to put you right off the bat, whether that's that we need to reverse diet, or maybe you are ready for a deficit. Most of the times people are not ready for a deficit right away, and we don't put you in a deficit right away. But there was only 2 phases I really wanted to cover, and the last one is our horizon phase, which is basically like how to set you up for maintaining for life. It's not like how many times have we had clients come in, or even if you're listening, how many times have you reached a goal and you're so pumped for the goal, but then it's not sustainable, or you don't know, maybe it was sustainable, but you don't know how to sustain it. And so that's the big piece with our final phase is its horizon. So horizon goes on forever and ever and ever, as it seems. So the cool part is it's either like, hey, let's set you up for success to continue and like maintain your progress, or let's go into a new goal. And now we're going into another like different set of goals that we're working towards. And that's the cool part of our horizon is it can kind of go one of two ways. But the big thing is that with Apex, you're not just like graduating with no idea what to do. If we do it right, we're quite literally the last coaches that you'll ever need. So we have a lot of clients come back, but oftentimes I find it's just because they maybe have new goals they want to work towards, or they want to get a little bit more specific. They want to go into another deficit and don't want to do it by themselves, like whatever that may look like. But the goal is that you are set up for success for ever, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, with our base phase and with everything that we lay out, the most common challenges we see for people is time and nutrition capacity, like what capacity they have for that. And even a big thing too is once they do that strength base phase, like they're starting to figure out their own deficits that they didn't even know existed. So I find that clients just get a lot of awareness, and they start to feel supported right out the gate, because I have definitely worked with coaches myself where you sign on, you fill out the questionnaire, and they say, here's your macros, here's your workout, but they have no baseline on me. They have no idea where I'm starting from. If I'm currently at 1,800 calories and you're bringing me up to 2,500 calories, I'm going to feel like shit. I'm not going to feel very
Yep.
good. And that's our hope with clients, is that we create the mentality of you're training for life. You are training for being 70, 80 years old, being able to pick up your grandchildren pain-free, and to be able to fuel your body, to be able to combat disease and medical conditions that come up, and be able to recover faster from those things when they're unavoidable from time to time. And that's exactly where our base phase starts, is getting all of the data we need to start creating the implementation of training for life for you and figuring out your schedule and navigating that through different seasons. Another thing that I think is underrated, and this is a little bit of a side tangent, is just like the way we work with clients. We ideally love to work with clients for, 6 to 12 months. I personally prefer 12 months on my end, because I want to work with a client through the holidays. I want to work with a client through the summer. I want to work with a client through their birthday, through weddings, through whatever is going on. And that's very underrated when someone from the outside perspective of lifestyle clients coming in and they're saying that they have all these goals, they're only centered on the one event. They're not centered on how much everything else impacts them. Because if you're in the summer, they're not thinking about how hard the holiday season is. They start to just be like, oh, that was a fun time, remember that? And in reality, they probably need to work through that in order to train for life, in order to understand the maintenance period, and to better emphasize our horizon phase, is to have an implementation of that all, because that's where training for life can even be the catalyst for growth for people, is through a maintenance period and through training and understanding different seasons as well, like literally seasons that happen in our year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, is like going through the seasons and also being able to not just hire a coach to cut. It's like hiring a coach so you can see how cool maintenance is. I think I talked about this last week about how much like our clients actually like dread a next cut because they recognize how cool it is to be in maintenance. But just to flex on our lifestyle program as well, is like our team of coaches is insane. Like truthfully insane. And I think it's really cool to have such a diverse range of coaches. We have Coach Megan, who's not taking on clients right now because she just had a baby last month. But she is our team registered dietitian. So it's really cool to have someone on staff that is a registered dietitian. So if we do have more complex cases, we can obviously help on that side of things. But she also is a mom, obviously. I just mentioned that she just had her second baby. We actually have 2 moms on staff. So I think it's really cool because we have a lot of mom clients, and I think it's really hard to, from personal experience, like coach a client that's a mom when you aren't a mom. And so it's really cool to have our mom clients come in and be able to actually work with a mom that they can relate to. Where Coach Jane comes in, she's our pre and postnatal specialist, but she also is an Olympic lifter. So she has a really cool experience. She's like a collegiate gymnast turned Olympic Olympic lifting athlete, turned CrossFitter, turned mom, and now she kind of does all of the things. So she's actually expecting her second baby as well. We just have so many babies this spring. And then we have Coach Devin, who's getting into powerlifting, which is a really cool side of things, but loves to just help people get stronger and like feel more badass. She's like, I want every woman to be like under a barbell. And then Coach Carly, who is our she's a physical therapist assistant, but also just has a really cool experience on her own side of things with her weight loss journey, and now is getting married. So she's just sharing all of those fun like journeys throughout her prep for wedding. So it's really cool to have a team of a variety of different experiences. But like I also mentioned, we have a physical therapist that we partner up with, physical therapist advisor, and a pelvic floor therapist advisor as well. So as well as our functional team.
I was about to say, we also have a functional team.
So like, they help with like hormones, metabolism, all the things, because it's something that we've just really noticed being such a important thing in the industry. So the crazy part with Apex is we have such a wide range. It's like we obviously have our focus on more higher level clients and people who are ready to do the work, who have big goals and want to achieve them, but want just that extra push. And so I think it's really cool on the both sides of like having coaching coaches and the lifestyle side to just have such a well-rounded team where we can support clients no matter what they're going through.
Something I want to add to that too is like when you work with one coach with us, you're in a way kind of working with all of us in a way, because we're very collaborative. That is literally one of our values that we have under Apex is collaboration. We as a team are here to support each other as coaches. So our entire coaching staff, Kelsey and I were even talking about client scenarios that we each were having coming up and kind of how we can navigate them together. And that's one of our biggest strengths as a team when it comes to being solution oriented from a client facing perspective and what clients need. If Jane doesn't have the answer to something, she's not going to pretend she has the answer to something, but maybe Megan has that answer. And now Megan can help Jane in that process. And same for you and I. Like if I feel stuck with something, I can go to Kelsey, I can go to our pelvic floor therapist, I can go to whoever I need and gain the insight and the resources that we need. So I'm very proud of our coaching team because we're never going to pretend to be something we're not. We're never going to try to help someone solve a problem that we don't feel 100% confident with, which is very much why we have the functional team. We have the functional team to have a wealth of knowledge at our disposal for clients who are looking for answers. Am I going to sit and pretend I know all the answers? Personally, no, I'm not. I'm going to consult the right people. And there's definitely coaches in the industry who will pretend and will say that they know this, this, and this. And then they go to make a plan. It doesn't make sense. And we really come from the standpoint of ethical, collaborative coaching that truly brings all of our strengths together. Jane is our head coach, and she has meetings every single week with Carly and Devin. They talk through their client scenarios, any issues that are coming up, any challenges, resistances, plateaus. On our weekly call that we have, we hold space for the coaches if they have anything coming up. And that's really important when you're fostering a community. If you are a coach who eventually wants to scale a team, I think that's a really important component. But for clients coming in, you're very well supported. And I feel like I may not work with all of our clients, but I feel like in some capacity, I actually know each of our clients and what's going on. I'm taking over some of Megan's clients right now, just as an example. And the transition was stupid simple. It was the most simple transition ever because one, Megan laid out everything so well for me. But two, I felt like I already knew all of the clients that were coming to work with me for these 12 weeks that she's out. And it's been this seamless transition. It doesn't feel like I'm suddenly trying to relearn clients and their goals and all this stuff, because we just talk so much about our clients, because that's what we think is very important in a growth perspective as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to have that collaboration. Like you said, it's like you work with one of us, you work with all of us, because it's so important. And also, to your point of, I was going to say, coaches that just like want to know the answers and will just not pretend. Like, it's almost like fake it till you make it. Like, you know what? I think this would probably be good. It's like, that's not what's best for the client. And something really big we pride ourselves on, it's like clients first. Like, that's why all of our coaches have pretty small rosters in comparison to the rest of the industry and like the industry standard, because it's like, we want quality coaching. And so making sure that each client really feels like they're not just another number is something really important. So that's kind of the lifestyle side of things. And there's a lot of carryover from the lifestyle side to our Apex Coach Accelerator side, which is specifically for fitness coaches that Chris and I head up. They follow essentially the same phases. We do the base phase still, we have the horizon phase, but there's actually quite a bit extra for ACA, which is Apex Coach Accelerator. And with that,
I'm actually going to have you answer a question before you get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And it's, why do we have fitness coaches come to us? And even if they're coming to us because they're like, "Ooh, I really want the mentorship side," why are we having coaches on do their fitness and nutrition through Apex as well?
What do you mean? Like why we decided to do it?
Yeah. Like why it's important for them, because, you know, some coaches come in and of course they may be like, "Well, I don't need health and fitness training. Like, I know what to do." Why are we encompassing that in from the perspective of obviously their business and like
such a good question. I think the first most important thing for like why coaches really do need coaches and why they're coming in for help and why they maybe don't recognize they need help at first, though, is the emotional side of it. Like, you recognize from a client perspective, like what it's like for a coach to hold you accountable, what it's like to have changes, like what it's like to go through a cut, a surplus, maintenance period, like just going through those different phases, I think is such an important thing. And you can, again, from the emotional standpoint, a client a response on a check-in, like you understand how to better respond to clients. I think it can be very easy to get frustrated when a client isn't adhering and isn't listening, and having the support of another coach, you recognize what that feedback looks like. I think also something that a lot of coaches realize when they come into the program is that they weren't actually even adhering to their own protocols. And now that's reflecting in their clients. There's this weird thing that goes on in coaching where I've recognized it is your clients will only adhere if they feel that you're doing the same, which is why, like, I always hold myself to a higher standard within coaching. Like, I coach people to track macros. I also track my macros. It's not to say that you have to do that. There's days where I don't. But if I'm coaching clients to do it, I want to understand what it's like. Same thing with training in the gym. It's why honestly, part of the reason I was going to run a half marathon was because I had actually coached a lot of clients on how to do it. And I was like, I want to understand this. So I think it's really important from that standpoint. But also, my client Frankie actually says this really well. She's like, I'm not paying myself to coach myself, so why would I be coaching myself? Like, I'm not a client of myself. I have other clients paying me to coach them, and coaching myself is just an extra layer that I have to worry about when I'm not even getting paid for it. Like, it's a crazy mindset when you think about that, but like, this is not all about money, but it also is like, you're not paying yourself to coach yourself, and also you're not pushing yourself. Like, I find if you're a coach listening, like I want you to think about this for a second. Like there are exercises that you will skip in the gym purposefully because you hate them. I'm sure Bulgarian split squats are in there for a lot of you, maybe back squats, maybe deadlifts, like whatever it may be. And maybe that's because of injury or whatever, but there's a lot of things you're skipping in the gym just because you're avoiding it, you don't like it, whatever that may be. And like a coach is going to push you out of your comfort zone. So it's just holding yourself to a higher standard is really the thing. And that's just on the nutrition fitness side of it, of having someone with an outside perspective to push you. But also for you to understand what it actually is like in a client seat. I've had multiple coaches come in and we're their first coaches. And I truly believe if you're an online fitness coach and you've never done it yourself, in my opinion, you're kind of like a dentist who doesn't take care of their teeth. You're kind of like someone that's coming to paint your house and like they've never painted before. It's like a lot of those things that, you don't have the experience. It's like a high school dropout going and becoming a teacher. Like I mean, good for you. Like you've made it through it, but like, you haven't really lived the life to be like walked the walk. So
Well, and that's something
I
I see
yeah.
from a business coach perspective, just to add in there is, I work with coaches who are kind of in those beginning phases of their business. They're usually making, they could be ground zero or they could be making maybe like a few $1,000s a month. And a lot of them have never had a coach before. And I see such a huge difference between the coach coming in to work with a business coach who has had a coach before, and then the coach coming in to work with a business coach that has never had a coach before. We're having two totally different conversations. We're focusing on two totally different things. The person who's come in and has had a coach, they know their offer, they know their systems, they at least have a baseline of what that looks like. And then on the flip side, the person who has never had a coach kind of has no idea what really the business coach is even talking about most of the time. They're
Yeah.
like, offer? What's that? What's this? Oh, check-ins. Oh, I'm going to do all these things. You have such a good wealth of knowledge coming in if you have had a coach before and you do have interest in working with a business specific coach. And that's even selfishly as a business coach myself. I love working with people who have had coaches because we can just talk a whole different language. They know exactly what we're referring to. And it can be a little bit of an education gap for someone who hasn't had a coach. And I totally agree with you there. It's the high school dropout becoming a teacher and you
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah, like good for you. You came from rags to riches, but like also
Yeah.
you don't know what it's like to graduate. And I think it too goes into again like the emotional standpoint, how to respond. But so many other things go into having your own coach. I mean, we've talked about this in an episode about like we both have had a coach since like 2017. Um, I took a few breaks here and there, but for the most part, like nonstop for nearly 8 years, with like a year break in between. Um, and I've learned so many different tidbits from, I've had 4 coaches now. I had the same one twice, but I've learned little tidbits of what I like to do as a coach and what I don't like to do as a coach and what I want to give to clients. Because from a coaching standpoint, you could be delivering something to your clients just because you think that's how it's supposed to go. But when you actually see that on the client side, you're like, this is awful. Like, no wonder my clients aren't adhering, or no wonder my clients aren't checking in. It's like, it's inconvenient or it just feels like tedious for them. And so that's why it's so important to have a coach yourself, to also even learn how to respond. Like in a Loom check-in, you can learn how we present a check-in and now you can take that and use that on your own clients. So it's like the inspo, like you don't learn everything from coaching in a textbook. In fact, I can't remember the last time I referenced my NASM personal training textbook. I mean, it's next to me over there in case I need it, but like that didn't teach me shit. Like,
It's sitting pretty on a bookshelf somewhere in my.
yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, taught me how to like train in person for sure. Like it
Mhm.
served its purpose, but in person and online is very, very different. So
Absolutely. The other thing I was gonna just add to that is, hiring a coach. As a coach, we'll get into the mentorship side here in a second, but it is market research into your own offer, into your own thing. The other thing as well is you're gonna have scenarios with clients where they're gonna be like only coming to you potentially to lose weight. And that could be frustrating as a coach. You could be like, well, they're all coming to me because they want to lose weight. I have no idea like how to get them to be bought into a reverse diet, bought into maintenance. Have you ever been bought into a maintenance and reverse diet yourself? Like, have you
Yeah.
ever been coached through maintenance to see how that is presented, how that is taught, how that is emphasized? A lot of the tactics, a lot of the scenario-based questions that I can now answer for our coaches came from me also learning that from a coach myself, and not just working with a coach in the on season when I have a goal and a more immediate thing, but working with a coach in the off season that's prepping me and can prep me for the next best thing too. If you don't see the value in that yourself and investing in that yourself, it's really hard to communicate that to a client and to help them feel invested in that exact same time period. If you're resistant to it, your clients are going to be resistant to it. You're not going to know how to navigate that. And I fully believe that.
Yeah. And I think too, so I have a client, Nicole, that started in, actually it was like very end of December. Um, and she had just since, so we've been working together for 4.5 months now. She's been in my, no, 3.5 months now. And has been like in my like sphere for a while. She actually did my first Beyond the Cert cohort, which it's now much better than that. The first one. First time was fun. But anyways, she is like, I've just had so many more people approach me ever since I started sharing the fact that I have my own coach. And I think a lot of like a common theme that I've heard from coaches is like, well, I don't want to seem like weak or that I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't have a coach. And it's like, I think it's actually quite the opposite. She has experienced a ton more people. She actually has like a wait list right now for her coaching because she's just blown up because she's sharing the fact that she has a coach. And that's like one of her pieces of content. Actually, a lot of my clients use that as content, is like, here's why I have a coach as a coach. And it actually helps me, like, again, I'll bring back Frankie. She's like, thank you for like staying up on your knowledge, because you continuing to learn actually is me continuing to learn as well. And it's like, dude, like me continuing to invest in my own education is actually helping my clients. Like, it's literally a direct investment in two different ways, because you're obviously getting your own nutrition and fitness taken care of, but you're also getting your own continuing ed as we learn. Like, we're sharing that ounce of knowledge. And I've even noticed that with some of my coaches as well, is that they've helped me learn as I go too. And you just learn little tidbits. So it's not even just going and getting another cert. But I will say that's also another positive of ACA, is you actually get Beyond the Cert included, which is our signature course for coaches. And it's like a $1,500 value. You get it literally for free. Just the course itself is $1,500, but you literally get it for free for life if you become an ACA client. So that's something cool as well, is kind of hopping over to the mentorship side. It's not just, here's your workouts, here's your nutrition, here's your habits, go get your 10K steps a day. It's also, we actually have a roadmap journey for you to, and this is something we're actually like implementing, and it's kind of new that we're rolling out, which we're really excited about. But it's basically a timeline in the first 6 months of your coaching experience, with month by month assignments for Beyond the Cert. And then we actually help you kind of apply those things into your own coaching. So we're talking to you about your roster on top of the Beyond the Cert stuff. We're talking to you about systems. We're talking about how to have tough conversations with clients, and like your scheduling. Like, dive into a little bit of that too, like what we're kind of working on in the back end, and like how mentorship kind of comes in without it being specifically business mentorship, because that is not what we are.
It's like you read my mind. I was literally thinking in my head, like I knew my next point was going to be how to not make this business coaching, because I get it. You guys probably see Kelsey and I stuff and you're like, okay, so they're talking about this, but like, what does that exactly look like? What is that? And to be fair, Kelsey and I are also trying constantly to evolve in our social media and our content to better relay that to everybody. And there's no better way to learn more about what we do than like hopping on a call with us. So if you guys truly have questions in your head and you're like, I am in the information gathering phase of like where my next investment needs to come from, and you do have curiosity, Kelsey and I are more than happy to voice memo, hop on a call, talk about our service, and clarify that and what it can look like for your specific business, because we do not do business coaching. We consider ourselves more client delivery and fulfillment coaches, because those are the two bigger things that a business coach does not work on. And that's coming from a business coach myself. As a business coach, I am mapping out launches with my clients. I am going through marketing. I'm going through sales audits. I'm teaching people how to DM. I'm teaching people lead generation. I'm teaching the nitty gritty. I'm teaching you how to set up your business and have launches to bring leads in. Whereas for us at Apex with the ACA program, we're focusing on retention strategies. How do you retain clients? We're helping you through difficult client scenarios and protocol specific scenarios that come up when a client has plateaued or a client's coming to you with a new goal. We've all been there as coaches where you're sitting and you think, how the heck do I coach this person? What the heck is the next stage? Oh my gosh, this client just sent me this message and I feel like the world's burning down. Who do I talk to? It is so important to have a mentor who can talk to you through those things. And I really wish that I had had that in my business because I just kind of had to figure it out and invest in all the continuing eds and do all the research and all of that stuff. But if I just had a quick and easy route to get information and ask advice and get feedback, ACA is what I would have invested in because I think there's so much value in the business coaching side. You have to learn how to have offers. You have to learn how to bring leads in, but you also have to learn how to have a really good program because if you're selling 10 leads a month, let's say into your program, but your program's built on this like rocky foundation where there's no structure, you have no onboarding system, no offboarding system, no system period, not a single system has been invested in, you're still doing Google Drive for all of your programming, then that's going to be really difficult. And then you're wondering, why does my retention suck? Why are clients falling off? Why are they ghosting? Your system of coaching, your actual application of coaching needs to be assessed. And that's exactly what Kelsey and I do. We look at your coaching system. And to be completely honest, that can be really vulnerable as a coach. It can be really hard to say, here's how I coach a client and here's the scenarios I'm in. Because as coaches, we have this ego where we never want someone to think we don't know what we're talking about. And that even includes to your own mentor that you've hired. I have seen the ego that we have as a whole that is literally like, oh, well, I don't want to ask that question because it sounds dumb. It's not dumb. The only dumb question is the questions that aren't asked. If you're just sitting and not knowing, wouldn't you rather be really good as a coach? So that's exactly where ACA focuses, is we're going to look at your protocols, your systems, your onboarding flows. We host monthly calls. So there's monthly 45-minute calls for all of our ACA clients who get on a call with us. We do have our roadmap, which will now help lead these calls basically. Like not only will it lead the modules, but we're also going through actual homework assignments in there and what we want them to have completed. But then of course we customize it per coach because every coach is going to be a little bit different coming in and navigating that. So we really want to piece that in and customize it. But for example, my client Katie, last week we hopped on a call and we built out her whole EverFit onboarding system. We just were able to build it all out. It's something she had been kind of pushing off, but it was something that she knew she needed to do because she works with a business coach. And she was like, hi, I have 7 leads that I just onboarded and I feel like a chicken with my head cut off. Let's reduce that. Let's hop on a call. So we used our 45-minute call to build out the onboarding. And now for her to bring in the leads and all the work she's doing with her business coach is more at ease because we're building a really good sustainable system within her business that keeps the client delivery and fulfillment moving and grooving, even though maybe more of her efforts right now are being put towards marketing and sales. Because for anyone listening, you may nod your head when I say this of like, hey, how many times have you been in the middle of a launch and you come out of it feeling like, oh my God, my clients were not served. They were not served. You have cancellations coming in, retention suddenly sucks. You feel like you have no visibility over your clients. That shouldn't be happening. You should be able to work on marketing and launches while still fulfilling the client delivery. And that's going to sometimes come with building a better system, building a better offer and automation that is more realistic for your capacity. And that's where Kelsey and I really come into play with it. Because yeah, we're not going to sit there and tell you how to send DMs, but we're going to sit there and we're going to tell you how to handle client scenarios and how to use that to also get more clients, because that's super attractive when you think of it from a marketing perspective. And our girls who are in business coaching, we have a group of ACA clients who are in our mentors program, and then they work with us as well. I've actually gotten compliments from my colleagues in the mentorship that I work for. They have said, I see such a difference in the clients who are working with you guys and now their productivity and the fact that we can actually focus on what we need to focus on here. They see such a night and day difference in their businesses. And to hear that from my colleagues who are firsthand coaching these clients, even myself who coaches some of these clients in their business, it truly makes the investment in the business coach actually be business related and for the investment in us to actually be centered in where it's supposed to be. And they can work in such a beautiful, like, duality way where clients get to scale their businesses so much faster because of it. And they suddenly are showing up like the embodied leader that they want to be, that they maybe have been hiding for some time because they feel that imposter syndrome creeping in. And that's the biggest thing that I've seen from our girls.
Yeah, I think it's so important now more than ever. If you've been a coach for a while now, you're probably feeling that leads maybe are a little bit slower, or take a little bit more time to warm up to the idea of coaching. It's not like 2020 where you just like, you're like, oh, you're breathing and have a credit card. Okay, awesome. Let's like hop in, like join the program. It's like people now have probably had a coach, maybe two, and maybe hesitant to start a program or not sure if your program is going to work. And so it's now important more than ever to set yourself apart. But not just that, I can't express enough how much it sucks to be the coach who's constantly questioning and overthinking every decision you make as a coach. And I know every person has dealt with this. Like every coach has dealt with this at some point where you're just constantly questioning if you're doing the right thing. You're constantly questioning like why your clients don't listen to you or why they're not adhering. If you're doing something wrong, how to feel more authoritative. If you screwed up in the beginning, like, you question that too. You're like, well, my clients aren't adhering, so I must have done something wrong. Um, and it
Or they
sucks.
also assume like worst case scenario. It's like, oh, my client's ghosting. I guess they're never going to come back around. It's like,
Yep.
well, what policy, what system can we put into place to handle
Yep.
ghosting clients, non-adherent clients, and to reduce
Yep.
some of that frustration? To also normalize some of the things too, of course,
Right.
that we all go through as
Yep.
well. I think that we've truly created a retainer for coaches to be like, as me as the mentor is like, I listen and I genuinely don't judge because we've all
Yep.
been there with frustrations, and it does
Really.
a lot for our clients' mental health from a coach perspective to have an outlet that they can come to and talk about these things.
Yep. And that's why we do ACA. Like that's why we started ACA, because we also went through it. Like I've said this a lot too, is like we walked so you can run.
Yeah,
Like we have been through the frustrating clients, we have been through the ghosting clients, we have been through the client cancellations that are super frustrating and super, draining on your energy and all the things. And that's why we truly want to help you in the best way possible and like creating systems. And like a lot of the stuff we have in place took time. Like it didn't just come all of a sudden to us, right? And so over years and years and years of us both like trial and error is we've created all these things that now we get to provide to you as a coach. And we're not going to promise that all your clients are still going to adhere. We're not going to promise that you're not going to have clients ghosting, but we will promise is that you'll know how to better handle that and you won't feel as lost in it, or alone. Like I think that's also a big thing is like it can be isolating as a coach, especially if you're solo coaching, you don't have a team, maybe you don't even want a team, you just want to be on your own. And you're like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I just feel lost with this client. Like, who do you go to? Again, like to your point, you can't go to a business coach. Like, they are there for business coaching. And so having our program where we're literally in your back pocket, you can message us on Everfit at any point with client questions throughout the week, which is so helpful. Just to have that support. It's something like I wish I would have had in 2020, 2021, like when I was first getting started in online specifically would have been very nice to have. So it's just so nice to feel almost reassured. And even I've noticed a lot of even clients in our cohort too, coaches in our cohort and coaches in ACA, they'll ask a question and then I'll answer and they're like, okay, thank you. I feel so validated. That was exactly what I was going to do. And it's like, yeah,
absolutely.
sometimes you just need that. It's not that you don't know the answer. It's just like you want to make sure like that was what and that's like what we do on our team all the time. Like we were talking to your point earlier, is like we bounce ideas off each other all the time. And you just sometimes need to feel that validation of like, okay, I am doing the right thing. I just needed to know that I was.
Absolutely. And one thing I was also going to add to the whole business coaching side of things is not every business coach has been a fitness coach or ran a fitness coaching company. So they're great. Business coaches, again, they're there for the strategy. Some of the best investments I have made is having a business coach. Now, our mentor is awesome because she did run a fitness business at one point. A lot of the colleagues that I have within that retainer as well, they all run or have ran their own fitness coaching company. And I think that's important to note is that if you work with a business coach who has never been a fitness coach, it's going to be hard to feel maybe some of that relatability if they've only ever handled client scenarios on a business side, because it is totally different for them to be dealing with some of the higher ticket packages and clientele and roadmaps and everything that they build out. It's not always going to translate to a fitness company. And we just really want to add that relatability and truly like a no gatekeeping zone with our clients. We are very much what we used to call our ACA program, our VIP program. And it still very much is that. We've just now put a label on it of like what our program name is, because it genuinely is like the VIP access to whatever you genuinely have needed from the client delivery, the client fulfillment standpoint, to just help you feel like more of an authority-based coach who knows what they're talking about and has their shit together respectfully. And you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off because you have this long to-do list from your business coach. Meanwhile, you're bringing in all these clients, but at what point do you actually focus on your business and the foundation of what your clients are being coached on? How often are you perfecting your own trade in order to, or yeah, really your own trade, like master it, in order to be a better coach for your clients instead of always trying to be a better salesperson or a better marketer or better this or that, whatever. How many times are you going back to the fact that like, okay, you have to be a really freaking good coach for your clients if you want them to stay around?
Yep. And I think it's like, to the client delivery piece is so important. It's like you can be really good at sales, you can be really good at business, whatever it is that you're good at, but like if you aren't good at coaching, that shows, and you're going to get a higher amount of cancellations, and that's stressful in and of itself. Um, it's kind of like, what we're helping with is you go to any business, like you see a menu at a fast food restaurant. It would be like if you went to a fast food restaurant and there was no menu posted, you're like, well, what do they have? And you're like, oh, it's like whatever you need. And like that is the client is like, what the fuck? What does that mean? That's exactly what it is when you don't have specific systems in place, like you don't have specific offers in place as a coach. It's literally your client going to a restaurant and them not knowing what is even on the menu. And so that is really where our coaching also comes in. The first month that you're with us, we're actually breaking down your offer and making sure that it fits what you want to fit. And I think also making sure you're not under delivering, because that's what we've found a lot is coaches over delivering, not having any boundaries. And at the end of the day, you're one person. So like, please don't answer your clients at 10 p.m. or all 7 days of the week. And that's something we also just really help with coaches on. And I think they also get a little taste of like, we have boundaries. Like we aren't answering your messages right away. Like it can take up to 24 hours for us to answer your question because we have boundaries. And now you learn that as a coach, like, oh wow, it's okay. And you may feel a little bit more like validated in that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's our ACA program as a whole. The one thing I wanted to add just as the sub item of ACA is the cohort, because just to kind of touch on Beyond the Cert briefly, is our ACA program gets Beyond the Cert. We are continuously adding to Beyond the Cert. Like it is not a finished product, and I don't think it ever will be, because one, the industry is always changing. There's always new information to be said, be told. And we want it to just continuously be something that grows. How many times have you done a certification that you're like, this is a little outdated? My opinion on NASM sometimes. I'm like, this is a little outdated.
Love you, NASM, but also that's why we have
you for they helped me get a stepping stone, and then I had to figure it out from there. And what I love about Beyond the Cert is it's not this what's the word I'm looking for? It's not this outdated arsenal of information, or pointless information, or high level concepts that nobody understands. Like if we're sitting there and just giving you all these big, sexy scientific words, where does that actually apply to clients? Like we really use Beyond the Cert to teach you the terminology of how to communicate to clients from a real life case scenario perspective as a coach. And throughout Beyond the Cert, if it's not something where you are necessarily wanting to jump right into ACA, then we do have Beyond the Cert just as a evergreen standstill course that you can purchase. From time to time, we may have times where we decide to close that, but we also have our cohort that we link into it as well. Our cohort runs 2-3 times a year. It kind of depends on the year itself, but the cohort is 12 weeks in length and it encompasses beyond the cert. It does not encompass in fitness and nutrition coaching, that stuff that we incorporate with our ACA clients. And it's more of a group retainer program. We do have different bonuses depending on the cohort launch that do encompass some one-on-one elements, but not to the full capacity that obviously our ACA program does. It has the group programs, you get a Slack channel, you get access to Kelsey and I, and it's really based on the Beyond the Cert itself and the cohort encompassing. And what I love about the cohort is that it just feels like its own little family, its own little community. It's not something where Kelsey and I want to get 100 people into a cohort and not know everybody's name. Like, we genuinely love to know everyone's names. We do onboarding calls for it. We want to get to know your business, your passions, your goals. And that's another thing that I think just makes Kelsey and I different is we've never been the people who are like, I want to get 200 people into this thing to just make money. It's we want to create such a big impact for coaches because that is what builds sustainability and reputability in a brand more than anything. And we will continue to preach that. And we hope that we can really set the example there. But if you guys do have curiosities on what we do, that's kind of the main, I guess, drop down menu from the coaching side.
Yeah, to add to the cohort too, it's like you said, it's not something where you're in a cohort, but it's like 200 people in a Facebook group, and that's where you're going to get support. You're literally in a Slack channel with us, and you have like 4 different channels where there's like a connection channel, client case channel, a few other channels as well, just to help when you have questions. And you can also like message Chris and I. And it's something, again, like with the cohort, we're continuing to refine, and each cohort will obviously figure out what works and doesn't work. But it's some, like you said, it's keeping it nice and close knit, no more than like 15 to 20 people in the cohort. And that's, again, another like number we're still trying to refine and figure out what works best for our capacity as well, so that we can continue to help. Like, we're in there every day in the Slack channel answering client case questions and answering just different questions for all the coaches. So ton of support in there. But there will be a link in the show notes for you to join the wait list. We are going to be starting our next cohort in June, towards the end of June. So be on the lookout for that, but you can claim your spot now, or at least get a wait list spot. We like have already had people in this cohort be like, can we just join the next one? Just because we like want to be with you guys all the time. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys, if you do join the wait list and you decide to sign up through the wait list, you will get the best deal out of all the pricing options that we have. So definitely take a grab at that. And the last thing I wanted to add that's really cool, or what I love most about how we've structured things and the way that we truly know our capacity, is that clients or coaches can come to me and say, hey, client B is dealing with this. I will remember client B. Like, I will remember all the conversations the coach and I have had revolving that client. Of course, there's always going to be things where I'm like, hey, can you remind me of this or whatever? But I just genuinely love that when coaches come to us for support, we actually we know who the client is. It was one of our cohort clients the other day. She had brought up, she was like, oh yeah, so I'm dealing with this client and it's this, and this. And I spoke up and I was like, hey, is this the client that we had spoken about that time? She goes, yeah. And I loved that I knew that. I loved that I was like, oh yeah, then I totally see where this is coming from. I totally understand this angle. Like, here's how we're going to break it down, because we just kind of get to be along for the ride with you and you feel supported in that. And it's just like, we're helping you navigate all the little sticky situations, but we actually get to know you and your client, and not just, again, a Facebook group where we're like, okay, client 236, just
And where you're
just
overwhelmed to even ask a question, because you're like, there's literally 1,000 people in this group. Like, all the past cohorts are in here. The channels are all specifically for the current cohort. So that's something really cool about it too. So we'll include a link again to join the wait list and claim your spot if you want to do it a little early. Like Chris said, it'll be like the biggest savings as well. So be on the lookout for also just more announcements on that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much everything at Apex. I love talking about Apex. It's so fun. So I'll also have a link in the show notes as well to apply for coaching if you want to just hop on a call with Chris or I and chat, whether it's about our lifestyle program, about ACA, even about the cohort. We're like more than happy to hop on, because I feel like we can talk about all these things all day. So, but yeah,
absolutely.
thank you so much for listening,
Thanks for
tuning in,
listening. We'll see you next
and
time.
we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.